There.
We're going to call to order the Effingham County Board of Commissioners meeting this April 16th, 2019. It is now 5:04. I'm going to ask everyone if they would please rise for the invitation given by Commissioner Burdette, and then I'll do some pledge of allegiance to the flag.
Lord God, we thank you so much for all you are and all you do for us, Lord, and what you did on the cross for us, Father. We pray that what we do, say, and talk about tonight, Lord, glorifies you in some way. Please help us make the correct decisions for the good of the people, Lord. In Jesus' name.
Amen. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item number 4 on our agenda is to consideration of a resolution to approve the agenda. Do we have any additions to the agenda tonight?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. We have a few changes. If you notice, you have a revised agenda with you. So our changes are, we will need to add under the minutes, the special call meeting we held on Friday, April 12th. We will need to add to approve those minutes. In addition, under new business, number 14, we need to add consideration to approve and authorize the chairman to execute a professional services agreement by and between the Board of Commissioners of Effingham County and the Acquisition Group Incorporated. So we'll need to add that as new business number 14. And as a note, under appearance, Mr. Leroy Akins, who's scheduled at 5:05, we received a call he is not able to be present, so we will not have that.
Okay, if I noted it correctly, we're adding to the agenda to approve the April 12th special call meeting minutes.
Yes, sir.
We're adding that.
Yeah, there's one other item.
Okay.
Under planning board, number 1, the sketch plan. Planning board recommends approving an application by Matthew Berger for a sketch plan for a development consisting of 9 lots located at 4016 Blue Jay Road, Zone R1, map number 351B, parcel 9 in the 1st district. We received a request to remove this item from the agenda.
Well, I'm going to give this back. If I have it correct, we'll receive the motion at that time. For a motion to approve the agenda with the addition of the approval of April 12th, 2019 special call meeting minutes, adding Leroy Akins to an appearance, adding item number 14 to our agenda under new business, and moving item number 1 under the planning board items.
That is correct.
If you agree with that agenda, have a motion?
Second.
Motion by Mr. Tiefel to approve the agenda with the corrections or additions as stated. And second by Mr. Deloach. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed no. And it carries. We have our agenda. Item number 5, consideration to approve the minutes of the April 2nd, 2019 workshop and the minutes of the April 2nd, 2019 regular commissioners meeting and the minutes of the April 12th, 2019 special call meeting. Are there any corrections or additions to any of these minutes? Have a motion to approve.
Make motion to approve. Second.
Motion by Mr. Deloach, second by Mr. Loper to approve the minutes as provided to us. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed no. And it carries. Welcome everyone who's in the audience today. Appreciate the public always being here and participating. I encourage you to keep your comments to the agenda items only. If you keep those brief, that'll give everybody who've had an opportunity to share. Documents for this meeting have been located in our clerk's office as always, and they're on our website. I hope everyone's had a chance to review those prepared for this evening. And with that, we are at the time we'll move into our appearances. I guess we'll start with Mr. Leroy Akins.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Mr. Leroy Akins here.
He's not here.
He's
Oh,
not here.
that's right. That's right.
That's one.
That's right. That's
Oh,
why I
yeah.
got right here. I'm a little tired. Been a long day.
We just have Mr. McMillan,
Right, so next we have Marshall McMillan, Public Works.
9:10.
All right, you come on up. We're right on schedule with you, 5:10 on the dot. See how efficient we are?
That's all right. How you doing? My name is Marshall McMillan. I just moved down here a year ago from West Virginia. Don't know why I waited so long to move south. Love it here. We built a home in Belmont Glen community, and we have a problem with speeding cars through there. I spoke to the HOA, and they said they couldn't do anything about speed bumps, and I had to contact you all to request permission to put a speed bump in. Like I say, you know, being a community with a lot of young kids, I think we have over 300 homes, a lot of speeding going through there. It's just really not safe anymore with the construction trucks and the traffic and stuff like that. So, you know, I'm just requesting that either the county or somebody put in a speed bump in front of my house, or give me authorization to place a speed bump in there at my own cost to, you know, like I say, slow down the traffic through my neighborhood.
These county roads, just for information, in Belmont Glen, we received all those roads, I'm assuming, didn't we?
To the best of my knowledge, that's right.
Probably what we need to do is advance this to, you talk with the sheriff about the situation?
I believe so, yeah. I've called like 20 people. So finally someone, you know, gave me you guys the number and told me to bring my issue here. So I imagine I started there first, right after the HOA, and I believe he's the one that said I had to come here to request the speed bump.
We'll say in the past, I believe it was a recommendation from DOT. In the past, we have not done that because of emergency personnel vehicles. It's almost counterproductive. They have difficulty getting in a timely manner. That's kind of been the past.
One other issue is not all residents won't. You know, you're here, but there may be one that shows up and says, why did you put speed bumps? We've had that. I've had that conversation. Well, I've had calls from people knowing speed bumps, and I've had others. And it's a debate within the neighborhood where they're like, I don't want speed bumps. So,
Right, it's a double-edged sword. You know, like I say, you're gonna make some happy, some not, but when it comes to the safety of children, I think that should trump someone's preference, rather they want to drive their, you know, car over something where they have to slow down. Same with emergency vehicles. It's not like, you know, where we got it, they're going 65, 70 through the neighborhood, and then they got to slow down for speed bump. They're already going slow through the neighborhood to begin with. So slowing down another 5-10 miles an hour is not something that would be life-saving or prevent somebody from, you know, getting to an area of rescue of any type.
Is it a long straightaway?
Yes, it's about 400 yards. I mean, it's not the biggest one in the neighborhood by no means. There's no houses in front of me, so I'm like the only one on my street right now. But they just kind of come around the turn and they just grab a couple gears and keep on going, you know. Same with the delivery trucks, the Amazons, FedEx and stuff. They just fly through there with no regard to, you know, children or anything.
Very good. Well, I appreciate you coming. We will definitely talk to our sheriff. He's real mindful of public safety experts. So we'll talk with him and see what his input is and what he recommends to us. And we might follow up with the clerk's office. And certainly you have my phone number as well and follow up with me on how they roll.
Okay.
Okay?
All right. Thank
Thank
you.
you for coming in. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
With that, we'll move to our new business. Item number 1 is consideration to approve to authorize the chairman to sign a landfill letter to the Environmental Protection Division, EPD, for the cottages of Ebenezer.
Yes, sir. The cottages in Ebenezer are going to be served by Springfield Water and Sewer, I believe. I'm looking for costs, yeah. And in order to complete their application through EPD, they just have different requirements. And in the case, in this one, they require the county to certify the proposed water system and all of the appurtenances pertaining to it are not located in or in close proximity to an abandoned landfill. So in this case, the engineer in charge, Toss Allen, wrote that letter, and what he's asking is that this county accompany that letter with a letter certifying that to the county's knowledge that this is all true, so that the application can be submitted.
So what exactly is the chairman sign? This water system is next to a,
That it's not
landfill.
next to it.
not next to a landfill, okay,
It's not next to a
okay, I can sign that, it's up to me. That's fine. Any discussion or questions? All right, we have a motion for recommendation of staff.
Make a motion to approve alternative number 1.
Second.
Motion, Mr. Roper, second, Mr. Burdette, to approve alternative number 1. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. And it carries. Item number 2, change order. Consideration to approve change order number 2 from Southeast Pacific Incorporated for contract 18006 at Lee J. Road Water Main Extension.
Good evening, Fiona Charlton, purchasing agent. On May 5th, 2018, the board approved a contract with Southeastern Civil for the Blue Jay Road water main extension. The contract is unit price. Some line items had a larger quantity and some line items had a smaller quantity. The net change is minus $7,819.50, which will reduce the total contract amount from $406,664.50 to $398,848. Staff recommends alternative number 1. Any questions?
Probably want to lower the cost. Any questions on the motion?
I'll make a motion to approve that.
Motion, Mr. Floyd, I think I heard from Mr. Gillespie, second. Approve alternative number 1, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. And it carries.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Item number 3, consideration to approve a proposal and issue a contract to Tar Heel Medical Billing doing business as Collection Software Incorporated, Amex Billing Services.
The county currently uses EMS Consultants, a third-party provider, to process payments from citizens who use emergency medical services. EMS Consultants charge a 6% fee from all funds collected on behalf of the county. A request for proposal was issued, advertised in the usual places, and sent to known vendors. 16 proposals were received, 4 arrived after the published closing time and were therefore disqualified. The results are in your packets. Upon review of the proposals, staff believe Tar Heel Medical Billing, doing business as Colleton Software, offer the best solution for the county. Colleton's fee is 5.69% of all funds collected on behalf of the county. As the contract with Colleton is currently being reviewed by the county attorney, staff recommend alternative number 1, board approval of the proposal from Colleton and approval for the chairman to execute the contract with them once it has been approved by the county attorney. And we have 2 gentlemen from Colleton here, if you have any questions.
These are for the bad debts. I mean, I assume we try to collect, this is all from the very beginning.
It's going to be from the very beginning, from initial transport till any bad debt after that, yes.
And they do the bad debts as well.
Interesting name, Tar Heel.
We save a bunch of money on it, that's not a lot of difference, 5.69 to 6, but I guess every little bit helps, I guess.
It's still less than what we're paying now, so that's a bonus. So we're paying 6% now with the current bill company that we're going with.
So 2 real quick questions. Were the first ones not performing up to what you would like to see them do? And are you personally more satisfied as the director that this will be a better change?
We've been with them for over 10 years, and it's time to kind of relook at the process and see if there's any better alternatives out there. We've had some struggles, and we thought it might be time for a change, and so we put it out for bid. Christy and I and Fiona had talked about it back last year, and we thought this would be a good time to look at things and make a difference.
Is it a 1 year, what's the contract length? Was that right?
I believe it's 3 years with...
Yes.
The contract is a 3-year contract.
Yeah, to the mic. While they can hear you well, the recorder is not picking any of that up.
Sorry.
It's Mr. Dave Pickering from Colleton.
I'm Dave Pickering, Vice President of Colleton Software. Our contract is a 3-year contract. We put a special clause in our contract that gives a 90-day out to the county. If for any reason we're not meeting our services or meeting the criteria set by the county and made in our promises and our response to the RFP, then the county can terminate the contract with just 90 days notice. and that gives the county an opportunity to make whatever changes they desire. So basically, it becomes a revolving 90-day contract. The contract is for 3 full years. It does have 2 one-year renewal contracts after it.
Okay, are there any differences between this and the other one as far, other than price? Is there anything else we should be aware of?
Well, our intention is to increase revenues. We believe there's a significant opportunity to increase the amount of money collected on behalf of the citizens for the county, increase the revenues. We detail that in our RFP. And then, of course, our main thing is to maintain compliance for the county, make sure we do everything that Medicare and Medicaid request. So the number one responsibility of us is to make sure that we do maintain compliance while getting every dollar the county is responsible for. We're located in Walterboro, South Carolina, so we're just across the border.
Are there any other municipalities that you're working with now? Or?
Our company's been in business for 25 years. We probably work with about 30 different counties in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia. We work with Towns County here in Georgia, many rescue squads. Allendale County, which is right across the border, has been a client of ours for 20 years, I guess. They've been a client of ours. We are located, we're privately held. We're one of the largest privately held companies. So we're proud that we are privately held and not part of a banking or another organization. So.
Very good, thank you, sir.
Thank you for letting us come in. We appreciate it.
Well, thank you, I appreciate it. Good. Have you any questions? If not, any motion to approve alternative 1?
Make a motion to approve alternative 1.
Motion by Mr. Logan, second by Mr. Deloach to approve alternative number 1. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Any carries. We have a need for that.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Looking forward to those increased revenues.
We'll be glad to report back to the county anytime.
Sounds great.
Thank you.
Item number 4, consideration to approve to amend Effingham County's financial policy addendum number 11.
Staff are requesting to amend the financial policy after the implementation of House Bill 322, which requires that any bill or proposal extended by a county, municipal corporation or local board of education for goods and services valued at $100,000 or more be posted to the Department of Administrative Services online Georgia Procurement Registry. As there is no funding required and the county attorney has reviewed and approved the addendum to the financial policy, staff recommends alternative 1.
Sounds good. A question for you. We weren't already posted to that site?
We were, sir, but a few weeks ago, they changed it, they dropped it down to $10,000. And now they put it back up to $100,000, which is exactly where it was before. So we're just going back to exactly how we were before.
Although you can put less.
Oh, we put pretty much everything
That's
on
what
there,
I'm saying.
yes.
I probably did that. Okay, very good.
Yes.
Well, that's just clean up. We have a motion to approve alternative number 1.
Make a motion to approve alternative 1. Second.
Motion by Mr. Burdette, second by Mr. Pizza to approve alternative number 1. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. And carries. Thank you. Item number 5, surplus consideration to approve a resolution of surplus.
From time to time, the county has broken, unused, damaged or extra inventory, and in order for the county to properly dispose of these items, they must be declared surplus in accordance with OCGA 36-9-2. This resolution consists of 2 inoperable vehicles. Staff recommends alternative 1, board's approval of the resolution of surplus.
What in the world happened to it? 2014, just getting surplus in early 19?
I believe it may have been in a wreck.
Huh?
I believe it may have been in a wreck. Accident.
We got our insurance money back on it?
We would have, yes.
Oh, that's fine. See, that's total. That's fine. But why we're driving so hard?
It's inoperable, so it's not running evidently.
Yeah, I just didn't want to make it from operating, operations into operational accidents. I wouldn't think that's it. This is in the police and sheriff's office. Any other questions? Motion alternative 1 is to surplus the motion alternative 1.
Make a motion. Second.
Motion by Mr. Ford, alternative number 1. Second by Mr. Burdette. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. And carries.
Thank you.
Item number 6, application consideration to approve to submit an application for 2019 ACCG employees.
Safety grant program.
grant program.
Good evening, Christy Carpenter, Finance Director. We're requesting approval to submit an application to the 2019 ACCG's Employee Safety Grant Program. This is for the purpose of reducing employee injuries through additional training, equipment, and services. The total grant to be awarded would be $7,500. There's no county match, so staff is requesting approval of alternative one.
Okay, I want to make one comment, because I want you to do this if you would. I like, just pretty much, it's a long time to wait, we got to do it this year, well before September. We need to get another price from workers' comp insurance companies, just so we can get this to ACCG. I've seen that work to bring our costs down. You make a note in your calendar sometime in June to seek some bids.
Okay.
Or some quotes, get some quotes at first and bring it to us and see if we need to go out and bid.
Okay.
Not that we would change, but it may save us thousands of dollars.
Okay.
That's a different matter, I apologize. This is pretty straightforward, to have a motion for alternative number one.
Make a motion to approve alternative one.
Mr. Floyd, second Mr. Deloach for alternative number one. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. And it carries. Item number 7, grant. Consideration to approve to accept a grant award from the Coastal Regional Commission.
Yes, sir. The Coastal Regional Commission has issued an award for $5,000 for the mini grant for the senior center. And staff, if there's no county match, so staff recommends approval of alternative one, sorry.
Questions, discussion, or motion for alternative one?
Ms. Margaret would appreciate that.
She's very excited.
Appreciate that.
She's very excited. We have her list, I think, already.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve alternative one. I'll say.
Mr. Lopez, second Mr. Keeper for alternative number one. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. And it carries. Item number 8, consideration to approve to accept a grant award from Maddie's Fund Research Grant.
Yes, sir. We have another award for the animal shelter from Maddie's Fund Research. This is a pet rescue foundation that offers money to implement programs at the shelter. The grant award was $500 and there's no county match, so staff is requesting alternative one.
What does the grant do? I'm sorry.
It's $500 just to implement programs at the shelter. Basically, Lorna can use it for operating expenses or any of her programs, spay neuter programs that she has.
Very good. You have a motion?
Make a motion to approve alternative one.
Motion from Mr. Bed, second from Mr. Lopez to approve alternative number one. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. And it carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 9, consideration to approve to authorize EOM operations to develop, receive, evaluate, and recommend to the commissioners a request for proposal and/or request for qualifications for the design of a large booster station for the county's potable water system.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We'll tag team this. Michael Coons is here from EOM, but to summarize the request, and these two back-to-back are tied together, you had authorized EOM to perform modeling studies under the water system to determine aging of water, flow of water, and pressurization. And the study looked at elevated storage and looping in combination. What was discovered, and Michael, correct me if I'm wrong, is that the modeling revealed that given your current population and until you have some additional growth, that's not the best alternative to improve those three issues for the county. What is the best alternative at this time is a combination of the installation of a large booster station and looping, which will improve as your population continues to grow. But there will not be significant improvement at this point in time, but again, over time, it will. So the request, this particular request, and I'll follow with the second one, is that you authorize EOM to proceed with the preparation of an RFP and an RFQ for the design of a booster station at a site near your Savannah intake structure. Be happy to answer any questions you might have about this particular
I guess my question I would have is what number do we consider where we need to change our strategy? Because, I mean, we're planning on some large growth here in the next 5 years, so I don't know if it's if we had 10 more thousand residents, then we would need to go a different route, or if it's much larger than that?
I'll refer to Michael, but I think what this is going to enable you to do, the combination of the booster station and the looping alternatives that we propose, will enable you to get out in front of your growth. In other words, if you don't do these things, one of the disadvantages of not doing it is you will be behind the curve as that growth continues. So I don't know that there's a number necessarily, but, and I'll let Michael answer that, but I do know this: if you don't do these things, then 5 years down the road, you may say, oh, gee, I wish we had implemented those things, because now we are having pressure difficulties, we are having aging of water issues, we're having flow and pressure problems.
Well, we already have flow pressure problems and water quality problems. And that's what water modeling you addressed.
Right, that's correct. All three of those things unfortunately exist in certain areas of the system. Less than desirable fire flow, long water age in the system, which the water quality deteriorates over time, and fire flow. So the booster station, as Mr. Beckett mentioned, and I'm not going to say the system is atypical, but water storage tanks are a desirable solution, because in terms of power outages or equipment failure, you have water in the air, not only for potable use, but for fire flow. But due to the long travel time of the water coming to Effingham County from Savannah, and the relatively low usage compared to the system design, meaning there's 36-inch water mains, bringing water into Effingham. So by adding storage tanks, we add longer water age, which it enhances the problem instead of resolving it. The booster station will be part of the solution to all of those problems. As growth develops, the booster station will become more valuable and relieve those problems even better. The more water we can get flowing through the system, we can shorten water life and improve water quality. So the booster station, to answer your question directly, will the booster station carry us for 5 years or 10 years? I don't have an exact number on that. I feel comfortable that the booster station will take us well past 5 years. As growth develops and we can turn the water over quickly, I think at some point probably would look at water storage tanks. If some other water source is not developed, things are going to change in the next 5 years or 10 years. But if the water source is the same, as the area continues to grow, I would then think probably would supplement the system with some water towers.
Okay, thank you.
There's one thing I remember Michael shared with us in the meeting over this, that it would solve all our current pressure issues we get caused with constituents saying I don't have water pressure. Those would go away immediately. Is that correct?
Right. The booster station in combination with the loops will solve two problems day one. Fire flow, and it will improve water quality, but it won't be the sole cure for water problems, but it will improve fire flow, the first day that it's up and running. And pressure, I'm sorry, my mind went blank for a minute. We're going to solve 2 out of 3 problems with the booster station: pressure problems, flow problems, and it will slightly increase, shorten the duration of the water, improve water quality slightly, and then as development continues, water quality will continue to increase too. I do think it's important to mention when we talk about water quality, the water is certainly safe. We flush the system regularly. What we're trying to do is reduce that flushing. That's how we're currently turning the water over. So when I talk about water quality, the water in the system is of a high quality, but we get that quality by flushing, which is basically wasting the water. So we're hoping to reduce the flushing, maintain the same water quality.
This funding, I believe, is part of our
revenue bond.
Revenue bonds.
Yes.
So we kind of got a good running on that. Okay, any other questions, discussions? Alternative 1 would be to approve them with the board.
Make a motion to approve alternative 1.
Motion by Mr. Deloach to approve alternative number 1, second by Mr. Floyd. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. And carries. Item number 10, consideration to approve to authorize EOM operations to develop, receive, evaluate, and recommend to the Commission individual requests for proposals for looping the county water system on the east and west side. We've kind of discussed that one already, but you want to go ahead and start it?
I did, I segued into it, but as you can see from the narrative, we have really three alternatives. One loop actually is being close to construction now, close to completion, I'm sorry. And then the other three loops would loop the east and west side of the county. So the loops, along with the booster station, will ultimately enable you to be ahead of your growth and to improve those three variables that Michael already mentioned. And so staff recommends that you utilize that you approve alternative 1, which is to authorize EOM to seek RFQs and RFPs for that particular business.
One of the things that, even though right now we want to improve the water quality, we have water quality because we flush it, because we just don't use it to turn it over. But we have to, it's in our bond to spend it for looping, and we believe this reason we would recommend we move forward, it puts us out front of the growth. Because if the growth is coming and we don't have the lines already around, it will slow down the growth. And the growth is what we're going to need to pay for all these improvements. So that's why we thought about it. At first we said we weren't going to do it. It's fine. We first decided not to do it. We looked at some other projects we could spend the bond on. Then we realized with the growth, it was probably wise to go ahead and complete the looping as planned.
And the loops, like the booster station, help us immediately with 2 out of the 3. They're going to help improve pressure. They're going to help improve fire flow. And they will marginally help improve water quality with current demands. But again, as demand increases, the benefit of the loops in terms of water quality escalates significantly.
One of the things this will do that I like to Mike, what I teach in our meeting, that you might be aware is going to be good. When we get it looped, we get a break on the, I'm going to call it the east side of the line. Because it's looped, we can cap that off. And everybody on this side has water now. But right now, if there's a break on that line, nobody has water because it's not looped. And we can cut it off. Does that make sense? So we're going to have the ability to keep some part of Effingham in the south end with water that's looped.
That's correct, right? The system has really what I would consider large dead ends now. By looping them, you're also adding some redundancy in terms of if a contractor would hit something, sometimes mains just break as the earth shifts. So if we would have some type of main break, we would be able to keep more people in water. As the current situation, you would literally be shutting down a whole quadrant.
Roughly how many miles are we short? I didn't know if we had them.
One is about 1.7, and the other's 3, 4 miles. One of the loops is from the school, just so you know, Atlanta Road, up to where we just finished at Blue Jay. The other is a northern, and comes down, that's the 2 loops. That'll make it full.
The east side loop is approximately 12,000 feet, a little over a mile. And the west side loop is about 13,000 feet. 13,000 feet on the west side.
And the third one's 500 feet. So you
Yes,
have 25,500 lineal feet.
And the Blue Jay loop that is being completed at this time is 6,200 linear feet.
We just got a decrease in cost so we can fill the lanes. All right, let's see. So any other discussion? Not, I can motion for alternative number 1 on item 10.
Second.
Motion Mr. Floyd, second Mr. Burdette for alternative number 1. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed no. And carries. And we were on item number 11. Final plat, consideration to approve a final plat for Park West Phase 4, consisting of 30 lots located off the Noel C. Conway Road, map 419, parcel number 2.
The engineering staff have inspected the final plat and they recommend approval. The infrastructure and maintenance security for $38,138.54, which is 10% of the estimated value of the infrastructure, was submitted to the county. Staff has reviewed the final plat and final plat checklist for Park West Phase 4. All documents are in order and consistent with the zoning plans and plats approved previously. The warranty deed was reviewed by the county attorney. And staff recommend alternative 1.
Okay, any questions or discussions for Teresa for alternative 1? Entertain a motion then.
Move to approve alternative 1.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Lopez, second by Mr. Deloach, to approve alternative 1. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. And carries. Item number 12, consideration to approve clerk travel for the annual IIMC conference.
What's that? What's with that? Oh, I'm sorry. I was doing something else. This is for a conference that is being held on May the 17th, I think. I'm not looking at my schedule.
18th to 22nd?
Yes, sir. With the attendance being over the weekend, opposed to those remaining days during the week. So it would be Saturday, 18th, 19th, and the morning on Monday.
I'll make a motion to approve clerk travel.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Deloach, second Mr. Lopez, to approve the travel as requested. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. And carries. Item number 13, discussion on management styles, county managers versus county administrator. So I believe this is on here just so for some follow-up discussion, to see if there's any additional questions. And I think Mr. Deloach, we're going to send you some information maybe on some ideas or ordinances. Did he have to get back to us on that?
Yeah, I'll sort them out. Y'all want to get them?
No, probably did.
I'll just state my opinion on it. If I heard Bill correctly when he was here before, I think as far as what we're looking for, I think marketing Effingham County, it seems to be, it does make a difference in what our title is. Just long story short, I'm fine with going to a county manager, but with that being said, as Bill mentioned, I would want that spelled out in our ordinance, because I know we can create our ordinance however we see fit. And one of the things that Bill mentioned is with good county managers, and I think good administrator, or no matter what the position is, you always need good communication. That would definitely be a high expectation of me. I mean, I don't want to know every little decision that's made, but when it comes to the bigger ticket items, I mean, I think we need to be well informed on what we're doing as far as dollar amounts, on discretion. That may be getting too far out the weeds at this point, but in my general opinion, I mean, I would be fine going the manager route under the right ordinance. And I think with the way the county has grown and is going to continue to grow, a manager role may be more effective. And that's just my 2 cents.
Well, I sort of disagree with that. I think that you know more what's going on if you had, either one of them would have to be good, but a manager, he could really get you messed up more than an administrator could. When you give him all the authority to the manager, and I know people would rather be a manager, but if you get a good manager, but you don't know if you change it, you might not get a good manager. If you do, he can ruin you in a short period of time. But if you make that decision, then that is not supposed to happen if we pay attention to what's going on. So it's the difference what we got in the manager administrator now. The manager's got a lot. I mean, the administrator's got a lot of that authority, Biggest thing is that they can't hire a department head where a manager could unless you change that. So if you don't change it to that, why change it all? I mean, that's my take on it. And I think they elected us to make the decisions for the county, and instead of having a manager to make the decisions for the county.
I partially agree with those, but, you know, I think we can leave it as administrator, just either give it the freedom of a manager or restrict it as an administrator as we see fit in the ordinance instead of making a complete change to a different title. I also think our biggest obstacle is the rate of pay. Get the right rate of pay. I mean, at the same time, what I'm hearing is we're having a hard time attracting people with the salary we're offering. I mean, to attract good people, you're gonna have to pay. But I think we can stay. One of the emails that was sent, you know, my question was, he did say that some counties are moving towards management type style, but in one of the emails I remember reading that there's quite a few counties, a lot larger than us, that are still operating as administrator.
There's a bunch of counties, big
And,
counties.
bigger counties, but I think it's just how the ordinance, or, you know, it's written, how they're controlled, or what their job responsibilities are. So I think it's going to be money, and then what we want to allow that manager or administrator, what power we want to give, release.
Well, it's just like the example I used previously with my wife's aunt, who works in the county of Florida. You know, they have the title is county administrator, but in their ordinance, I mean, they kind of operate as a manager. They have a lot more authority, I guess, than what a normal administrator would have. So,
And I think it's up to us, is we have to decide what, even as a manager, I mean, we're not going to release, I'm kind of like with the particular on that, you know, to have free reign to do as it pleases. I mean, I know we ultimately make a decision, but I don't know, that's my 2 cents. I think we can get what we want by increasing pay, and then also in the right in the way where they do have the powers that they need to operate the county as sees fit with our oversight.
I'm fine with administrator as long as he's a manager.
Yes, that's right, you're right.
I mean, we can, I'm good either way. I mean, I'm fine with officially, you know, changing the title and being done with it and moving on, but we need to keep the title the same.
well, just one thing too, and I agree with Commissioner Kiefer. I mean, I'm not going to jump up and down either way. But one thing I do want to say is, just if we did go to a manager role, I mean, it's not like we're relinquishing our authority, because I mean, we still pass our budget. Whether it's administrator or manager, that's the path they go off of. It is our budget, and we still make decisions, and we would still have that ordinance where, you know, we lay out guidelines of what we're looking at.
We still.
So I just don't want anybody to think just because we go manager route, we're
Losing control.
Yeah, we're losing total control.
The things that I see that I heard, I think Mr. Willis speak to, and the gentleman came and shared with us, is that, one, there's a connotation around management. That I think you shared that you thought we'd get better candidates if they thought it was a manager form, whatever that means. That's just one idea. We definitely got to put the ordinance in place where it's administrator or manager to put the controls. But if that's true, then I like the idea of changing the title. It gives people more interest in being a manager than administrator. If that's not true, that the title doesn't mean anything. I'm like you, just as long as they manage. The other things that I think they shared that I wrote down was that the team, they feel a sense as a manager, if you put it in their ordinance, they have a sense which they can build their team, because they're going to be the ones who will hire and fire department heads, because those department heads are, we give a budget, we give a policy, this is what we want to accomplish, this is where we're going to infrastructure, this is where we're going to do our roads, this is where we're going to do our growth. If you make it happen, you make it happen well, because you're going to be accountable. We're not going to hold them responsible, we're going to hold you responsible because it's your team. So there's a sense that manager has to put together the team versus dealing with the team we give them. We got to decide if we want to give up that privilege of setting up a team. Now, if that manager mistreats that team, we have the right to override and we can call her at any time. So it's not like they can just come in, they can be fired, and even in management government. So that's one thing I heard him say, that manager can set that team, and they like that in the connotation. The other was, it seemed to take the politics out of a lot of that happens as we grow. You know, before, when we were smaller, it was the right form of government for sure, where we had commissioners over certain aspects, over public safety, over roads, over water and sewer, because we had to have our hands in things, you know. But there's a politics in that. If they don't like what the administrator's doing, they just come talk to Wesley, and he'll tell the administrator, you better get in line, because I'm, you know what I'm saying? And it takes a little of the politics out. I heard him say that to us as well. So those are, I guess, the Castleton, but those are three of the things that interest me in the management form of government, if it could be structured with the right controls.
I'm not against it. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, is it gonna make, it may be what you just said, it may make a difference, but I still make a little difference.
You gotta give me money. I'm ready to have you.
I mean, the administrator, I don't think we've ever hired anybody that the administrator didn't want. I mean, they always have a say-so. I mean, they know who we don't hire, and we listen to them. So that part of it would make no difference whatsoever. I don't think we're going to hire somebody that the administrator don't want. I mean, I don't think we ever done that before. So, I mean, that's...
Something else to think about, if we did do this, is, you know, management will be able to come here, so we'll turn over the department heads possible. Bring this whole team. I mean, see, we were streeting right off the bat.
There would be
Here's what you got.
There would be turnover at the top, too.
Ultimately, we would control that.
Control.
Ultimately, we would control that also.
For me, I think we need to look at our history. And the definition of insanity is what? The same thing over and over, you expect to get results. I think everybody sitting here wants to do the best for this county. We want to select the best person to do that. In order to do that, we need the best ammunition in order to do that. The best ammunition is going for a manager culture. That way we can select the right person. We also attract more candidates in this county. I think that's a tool we really, really need. We need to be firing on all cylinders. And that's a cylinder that we lack. We don't advertise as a manager. That's just a small part of it. Not only do we attract other people, you know, and it's our job to select the right guy. You know, if we select the wrong guy, I don't care if he's an administrator or manager, we fail. We've got to select the right people no matter what position that is. It's up to us to do that. But sure, the administrator can really do.
And it starts with attracting the right person.
It does. And so we need that ammunition to attract the right person. Thirdly, we've got to empower that person to be able to do their job. You know, we're not here managing department heads all day. It's not our job. If we were here, and we were here every day to be able to do that effectively, it would be different. We're not. We're here on a part-time basis. We need that person that communicates with them every day, that can support them every day that we can.
On the other hand, how should we hire a new department head? I mean,
Well, no.
You know what I mean?
Again, if we
there's not a big turnover in department heads. Once they here, unless they get sick or die, I mean, they here till they retire. So it's not going to be a big change in department heads anyway.
That's true. If we get the right person to be able to help the department heads, I think grow and even do a better job. You know, if we get that right person.
We've hired four since I've been on the board 2.5 years.
Yeah, you got to do something.
We do hire them.
You know, and there are bigger counties. There are bigger counties that still have administrators, but for the most part, from the research that I've done, most that are growing, flourishing counties have moved to this management style. And it's working for them. There's only a few that's out there. Those are outliers more than, you know.
How would you feel about
Trend.
How would you feel about this process to move forward? Because I think we're all in agreement. We want to know what the authority is going to do. There's two things: is the title, is any value in that. The other thing is, what's the authority going to be that you're most comfortable with? Should we move forward maybe with a workshop to design that authority? Let's do that first, with this administrator, because what we wanted, what we wanted was a manager, in fact, whether it's an administrator or a manager. So let's define what responsibilities would be with that mindset, we're looking for someone to manage. And then the second question is, do we want to change the title or we want to leave it? That's really what it's either they.
That's changing one word in the whole document, so let's not get bogged down
Right, so we're
right
really
now.
together to address Mr. Loper and Mr. Floyd and everybody, Mr. Fritz, everybody's comments. What it boils down to is what responsibilities are we willing to give to them? So let's identify those. Does that sound a fair way to approach this? And then see if we change the title or not. One thing I was concerned about what we call it, as long as it has the right authority that allows them to do some management.
That's what you want to do, I don't have no problem with it. I'll listen anytime.
Because I think that's
I
what
might change my mind, but I'll listen.
that's what you're interested in, what's that authority we're given? We don't know what it is. Because I don't even know what it is right now. I may not be for it if I hear what the authority is. So how do we move forward with setting that authority? We start with maybe, I don't know if you.
We need to pull the existing policy.
Yes.
That would be the starting point.
Yep, you compare it to,
This is some ACCG, I mean, I think we would need to around this to help somebody.
I didn't know if even if our attorney could get with, I don't know if Mr. Willis would volunteer for that or not. We get together with the ordinances that he's given to us, compare what we have now, show us what the changes would be, what you might think it might be for help the government, and let's come back and, is that something you have time to do?
I think there's, I think there's two elements that everybody really want. One is communication. Reggie wants to know what's going on. I want to know what's going on. Everybody wants to know what's going on. Second is responsiveness. If we ask them to do something, we want response. We won't be able to get things handled. Those are the two main ingredients. We really need somebody good that can handle that kind of thing.
No, it's not, but maybe Mr. Burdette could help with that too. Get together and communicate with the attorney and.
I'll get it together.
Okay, and maybe you can support that with him, that y'all get together, and maybe in a couple of weeks or a month, we could come back with something that.
Squeeze a few minutes in.
I guess we want to, I think, we want to know that, what it looks like.
I don't think it's that much different. I just think the environment and how it's handled is going to change a lot. Not necessarily change everything for everybody, but the way everybody looks at it, and they're able to do really a good job. When we hire somebody, no matter what we hire, who we hire, what type of position we hire from, we can set those expectations when we hire them. And we expect you to communicate, we expect you to treat our departments as good. We should, put those expectations out there. And then we govern from there. We still have control over that position.
Well,
We need to communicate with them as much as they need to communicate with us.
Mr. Lowe said communication was a key factor in his thoughts about this control. You also got some strong thoughts about it as well, so I think y'all might be the best ones to come up with something that, in light of what we're doing now, we say this is what it might look like. Sure. Okay?
Is that a large document?
No, make it simple, and kiss it.
Not in the current.
Is it a large document? Lee, our current
Administrator roles and
My
responsibilities.
version will definitely be the Cliff Note version.
I like it.
And that's step one, is figuring out what we're doing now.
Yeah.
What the restraints are.
The next time, we're not even following our own policy.
We could.
It's a good chance of that.
It's good.
I mean, at the board, not staff. The board's not following policy.
Well, that's all part of growing together and getting on a good page. Very good. Any other discussion on item number 13? We have item number 14 that we added consideration to approve and authorize the chairman to execute a professional service agreement by and between the Board of Commissioners of Effingham County and Acquisition Group.
This stems from your need to have a process whereby individuals agree through the property acquisition system used to acquire property for Effingham Parkway that they have the right of appeal. And so essentially you're appointing an appeals officer. Frankly, this should have been done some time back. And, but you now have it in front of you and we're asking that you approve the contract with Mr. Lewis and his firm so that we can move forward with these appeals. I tried to get a number today of how many parcels are involved on appeal. I'm really not sure, but I don't think there are that many left. There may be some that pop up.
If you say you have appeals with the appeal officer that you go to.
Yeah, And I think you've already closed on what, 47%, Lee? Does that sound right? 47% of the parcels have been closed, I think.
That's probably a little high.
A little high, okay. But in any event, you now then will be able to meet the demands of the required elements of property acquisition. The condemnation should have to occur.
Okay, any questions or discussion? We have a motion to execute a professional service agreement by between the Board of Ed Commissioners, Effingham County and Acquisition Group Incorporated.
Make a motion to approve alternative one.
Second.
There is no alternative one, so. Is
You
there?
have it in the folder.
Oh, you folder?
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, I'll take alternative one then.
That's right.
Okay. Motion by Mr. Deloach, second Mr. Whitaker. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. And carries.
Thank you.
I just thought that Jim read it, see the folder there.
We put it in the
That's
folder.
not read it out. All right.
Mr. Chairman, before we move on, we need to revisit item number 11.
Okay.
That's why I was distracted over here earlier. There is a deed in addition to that final plat to be approved. So what's noted on the agenda is just the final plat. But there's a deed that you need to approve as well.
So we need to, motion to approve the deed to go with the plat that relates to map number 419, parcel number 2.
Yes, sir.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Deloach, second Mr. Loper. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. And it carries. We have 2 votes on item number 13. Anyway. All right, that concludes our business. We don't have time for our reports before we go into our public hearings. We need a 5-minute restroom break for our public hearings. Saying not. We take a 5-minute break. We're here for a public hearing. We'll be back in 5 minutes.
Are you going to come back with the report section?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, we're back in our little recess, and we made item number 1 on our agenda. So we go to item number 2 on the public hearing agenda. Planning Board recommends approving the application by Greg House, Laurel Mills Incorporated to rezone 0.75 acres from PD commercial to PD residential south, PD residential, south map number 352L, parcel number 1H and 1J in the first district. And we'll open the public hearing.
So this was originally approved as a plan development, and this portion of it, which, this portion here, right here, is what we're talking about. Last year, you all approved the split of these parcels, and at this point, Mr. House is asking for a split of 5 parcels here, rather than pursuing the commercial and I believe multifamily plan development that was originally envisioned there. So there's still, this is really just a strip along here, so it's 0.75 acres of a total of 3.83, leaving still quite a bit of land for the commercial and potentially multifamily development. And what it will do then is mirroring these houses along this side of Tailwind with houses along here, so to create an entrance of single-family houses into the subdivision. And that's what he's asking for.
Rezoning 0.75 acres.
Of that, yeah. See, there's 2, I'm trying to, there's,
How many houses can you get on 0.75 acres? Am I missing something here?
He's got a sketch plan for 5.
that's it.
On 0.75 acres?
Is that?
Is that what you're saying? Is that adding up? Requesting rezone 0.75 acres, that's like 1 house, 1 lot. Well, it could be 1.
These are single family homes?
Yes.
What's the smallest lot size we got sewage and water?
A quarter of an acre.
Say again?
A quarter of an acre.
So they can only be three there.
So it'd be three, I say 5.
I may have this wrong. He's going to become second stranger.
I'll be glad to answer questions.
Yeah, we're ready for some questions, and we'll go to the public hearing.
This subdivision, that entire subdivision was approved for lots 65 feet wide, and that's what's in there throughout the whole thing. They're 0.15 acres, PD zoning. The entire subdivision has already been done that way. The 9 lots we had on that side were done that way, and the ones across the road were done that way.
They are small lots, I don't know what size they are.
Yeah, they're 65 by 100 basically is what is approved for that PD zoning. And you got more that's just being built on Highway 30 right down the road, brand new subdivision, it's the same size.
0.1, I think it is 0.15, but I think there are some lots.
Well, so this is a PUD, that's the difference. Our zoning is quarter acre, but you can get a PUD approved and get some different types of
That's
arrangements.
correct.
So what you're saying is, this plan development has already been approved, so we're not here to approve what it's 0.15 or 0.25. He just wants to add 5
This is a
more lots.
revision of the last remaining one.
It's a reduction in density. It's already approved for multifamily in that particular spot. So what I'm asking is to change it from multifamily back to single house for that area.
I got you.
Instead of putting multifamily, the folks in the subdivision have asked me to separate the multifamily from the,
I'm with you. I just didn't understand. I saw 0.75 and I'm thinking, oh, plan development.
I agree with you. I wouldn't necessarily want a lot that small either, but that's what's approved in there.
Yeah, no, I understand. All right, any other questions? from Mr.
This is
West?
just for the rezoning. correct?
This is just for the rezoning.
It's actually not a rezoning. It's going from PD to PD.
Yeah, it's
It's
a
a-
revision to the text.
Those changes are text amendments.
It's a text amendment, right?
The PUD has its own zoning
Gotcha.
and it's into itself, but that's already been established. He's just asking for the extra lots within this.
So there's still going to be 3 acres of the commercial right there on the corner?
Yes, that's right.
And you're not doing anything with that?
Not now. We're going to certainly allow easements for water and sewer and all that stuff, but probably we'll be looking at a multifamily thing. But this separates the residential development and then from the multifamily.
Gotcha.
And that was some of their concern, and so I'm trying to do both.
Very good. Is there anything we need to be aware of from the staff regarding this changing?
I was just thinking about, because it is a PD that was done, I believe this was done maybe back in 2004, 5 or 6, somewhere in there. So they had a master plan approved along with the PD text. So I was just wondering what's noted in the PD text and if we should actually amend the text as well. If it was originally noted for multifamily and now the proposal is for single family.
So you're thinking we need to do something different about doing that this public hearing?
We may be okay to do what we're doing here whenever he comes back.
For the second reading, if it passes? Okay, very good. All right. All right. We've heard from Mr. House. Does anyone else want to speak for this? Anyone here to speak against or object to this rezoning this PUD? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve the staff recommendation, alternative 1.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Floyd, second Mr. Deloach. To approve staff recommendations in alternative 1. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Motion carries. Now, this is the second reading, but you said we need to.
I'm going to try to look it up before you get to the sketch plan. Let me see if I can find it.
So we can go ahead and do the second reading?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
This is the rezoning, the sketch plan is the next
It's
item.
coming up, okay, very good, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Item number 3, consideration to approve the second reading of an application by Greg House, Laurel Mills, Incorporated to rezone 0.75 of an acre from PD commercial to PD residential. This is South map number 325F, parcel number 1H and 1J in the first district. Have a motion to approve the second reading.
Make a motion to approve the second reading.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Floyd, second by Mr. Loper to approve the second reading. All in favor say aye. All opposed, no. Motion carries. Item number 4, which is the sketch plan, shall be really slow.
One comment on that, if you don't mind.
Let me read the agenda
Okay.
first.
Go ahead.
You stay there. You can get ready. The planning board recommends approving an application by Greg House Laurel Mills Incorporated for a sketch plan consisting of 5 lots in Wingfield subdivision, map number 352F, parcel number 1H and 1J in the first district. You can have to sit down. I just had to read that out. You can have to sit down. You can stay.
Okay.
I just need to read the agenda item and get on the record. So,
What was approved in there was a total number of residential lots and a total number of apartments and then so much commercial land. So all we're doing in this is reducing the multifamily units and adding them to the house units
okay.
as far as the master plan or whatever you want to call it.
Teresa, you want to have anything in explanation to what Mr. House has shared?
No.
Are you good? Okay.
That's good.
Okay. All right, very good. So open public hearing, anyone speaking for it? I know that your comments, Mr. House, are already speaking for it, so anyone here speaking against?
This is not a public
Oh, we're
hearing.
going to do this then. Okay, I'm sorry.
It's all right.
Thank you. All right, do we have a motion? If there's no questions?
And I'll make a motion to approve the sketch plan as presented.
Motion from Mr. Floyd, second by Mr. Burdette to approve the sketch plans as presented. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, no. And carries.
And that's actually alternative 1. I guess I should have said that, but.
We'll note that the motion is for alternative 1. All the right to trade, that's item number 4, so number 5. The planning board recommends approving an application by Hans Bliss for conditional use to allow for automobile service in a race shop located on Roebling Road, map number 377, parcel number 5 and 6 in the first district.
So a month ago, you all considered a rezoning for this parcel, and in order to do the automobile service, it was necessary to also do a conditional, to request a conditional use. And that's why Mr. Bliss is here tonight. He wants to establish a race shop and then do service of the cars on the racetrack.
Okay, so we'll open a public hearing on this conditional use. Anyone here speaking for this conditional use?
Good evening. My name is Hans Bliss, and I'm here again to try to get this conditional use for the race shop at Robbie Road, and I'm here to answer questions if someone has one.
Okay, thank you, sir. Anyone else speaking for? Anyone tonight speaking against or objecting to this conditional use? Seeing no one, I'll close the public hearing. Any questions or discussions from the board?
Same, nothing's changed since our last discussion, just trying to get the conditional use so you can move forward, correct?
Yes, there is no change, but it's kind of a trend. Yeah, something that needs to be done.
Have a motion?
Make a motion to approve alternative 1.
Second.
Motion from Mr. Floyd, second by Mr. Kiefer to approve alternative number 1. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Carries.
I'll volunteer to test the cars once you do.
So
This is my district.
It's in my district.
Yeah.
You might be third in line to go around the track. Item number 6, consideration to approve the second reading of an application by Hans Bliss for a conditional use to allow for automobile service in a race shop located at Roebling Road, map number 377, parcel number 5 and 6 in the first district. Motion to approve second reading.
Make a motion to approve second reading.
Motion from Mr. Floyd, second by Mr. Burdette to approve second reading. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. And carries. Item number 7, the planning board recommends approving an application by Tim Riddick to rezone 23 acres of a completed surface mine located at 2341 Midland Road from I-1 to AR1, map number 350, parcel number 18 in the second district.
So this land was rezoned in zone industrial in 2008 for surface mine. The surface mine is now complete. And Mr. Warnock is here to request that we rezone it back to AR1.
Okay. We'll open the public hearing. Anyone here speaking for this rezoning?
I'm Tim Warnock and trying to get this approved.
Anyone speaking against this rezoning tonight, objection to it? Seeing no one, I'll close the public hearing. Is there a motion?
Make a motion to approve alternative one, staff and public works.
Motion by Mr. Burdette, second by Mr. Floyd. Alternative one, staff recommendations. And zoning board recommendations. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, no. Okay.
This is the first one I've seen you go back since I've been elected. It's going to be good to see that.
Yeah.
It's
When I read that,
it's going back and now
When I read that, I was thinking, we've approved several, but I don't know that I've seen one go back. It's not a short time, so that's good. It's going to be a nice, pretty lake with lots of land.
High prices.
High price, I like it.
Lakeside.
I think it's the waterway, going to be the water. 10 acres is the lake.
It's 18 acres.
Mhm.
18 acres.
Oh, nice size, yeah. Nice size. All right, item number 8, consideration to approve the second reading of an application by Tim. Who else wanted? Warnock. Sorry about that. To rezone 23 acres of a complete surface mine located at 2341 Midland Road from I-1 to AR1. Map number 350, parcel number 18, second district. Motion to approve second reading.
Make a motion to approve the second reading.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Burdette, second by Mr. Kiefer to approve the second reading. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion carries. Item number 9, the planning board recommends approving an application by Greg House, Laurelville Incorporated to rezone 1.04 acres located at 449 East Road, AR2 to R1 to create a 3 lot, to create a 3 lots for, this is just 3 lots for residential use, map number 396, parcel number 23, second district.
Yes, sir, so this is currently zoned AR2, and which would allow a split of 2 lots with public water available. Mr. House would like to split it into 3 lots, so that requires rezoning to R1. The center lot would be accessed using an easement, so there's one lot facing the road. This house, which is currently visible, is on the road, and then in the middle there would be a lot accessed by easement. And then the back lot actually would access off the subdivision because it backs directly into that cul-de-sac next to a parcel already owned by Mr. House. So the driveway access would be no problem there.
So you good? This is one lot going into 3. When do you have a minor subdivision?
That's a minor subdivision.
Okay, so it meets all the qualifications.
Yes, sir.
Very good.
And this is the one that currently has a house on it?
The front on East Road currently has a house, and that's been improved. And there will be construction of a new house in the center off an easement, and then a house facing into the cul-de-sac.
Okay. The only issue, well, I guess the big issue I have with the request is, I believe the previous owner tried to do the same thing with this lot, and the county told him he could not do it because there's not enough water and sewer capacity to do that. And I talked with my member of the planning board, and he said from his angle, he did not think at the planning board level they could deny based off of that. They just had to look at the request of the actual zoning. But if we told someone no in the past, or I don't know if we got to the board, but someone at the county said there was not enough water sewer capacity to add the additional lots. When they tried to do the
He
same thing.
didn't have access to the subdivision, to the gravity-fed line. In other words, I do because I own a lot there. The only thing he had out front was a force main.
Okay.
which was the problem with the sewer. They did use the county water.
So you already have access to the
Yes.
system? Okay. I'm not trying to be difficult.
No, I
but
understand.
I just wanted to make sure we were
I understand, and
covered
that,
and just.
they developed, it was a 5-acre parcel, and they were trying to develop the whole thing, and they made 4 lots out of it. This is the parcel at the end that had the house on it.
So you're able to tap into the capacity that's.
Right, it's an existing
Okay.
force main that I have property that ties into it where they didn't. And if they'd approached me, I'd have worked with them, but they never called or anything.
Okay.
So we're open to public hearing. Are we into questions?
Yeah, sure.
Anyone else speaking for this rezoning? Anyone here tonight speaking against or objecting to this rezoning? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and entertain a motion.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Had many people come to me about this particular split, and one of the questions was, do the covenants prohibit what you're doing? Would you answer that question? Is there anything in the covenants that prohibit splitting this lot up and doing what you're doing?
Well, the covenants don't apply. There aren't any covenants. This is not part of the subdivision.
But it's going to feed out into the cul-de-sac that is part of the subdivision.
Well, that's a county road now. That road's been turned over to the county, so there's nothing.
There's not part of the subdivision in the cul-de-sac?
Well, it's a county road, but there's nothing in the covenants that says you can't access the county road in a subdivision.
Teresa, I guess that's a question. Do you know whether this is actually part of that subdivision, or is that something we have to be concerned about, or Lee, or anyone?
I would say if they're a private covenant, it's going to be up to either if they have a homeowners association or the actual residents of that subdivision.
I currently am the homeowners association for the subdivision. I've tried
That was
to.
my question. I figured you'd know the covenants.
Yeah, there's
Does it not have
nothing-
any covenants, or does it not?
No, sir, there's nothing as far as use of the county road. It's all been turned over to the county. And,
But my question was, does it violate any of the covenants for the neighborhood?
no, sir.
Using that lot as a road probably is, I think that's what they were saying.
I see.
Well, it was advertised.
It was, and
So
the-
anybody in the subdivision could have come.
That's true.
They want street lights, and I would ask y'all to consider street light tax districts. That would make things a whole lot easier. Just something to bring up out of the blue, but that's the problem out there, is we can't get folks to pay the dues.
No more questions. Thank you.
All right. Do you have a motion?
I want to make a motion to approve alternative 1, staff recommendation.
Second.
A motion and a second by Mr. Floyd. Motion by Mr. Burdette, second Mr. Floyd. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. And it carries. Consideration to approve the second reading of an application by Great House Law Mills Incorporated to rezone 1.04 acres located at 449 East Road from AR2 to R1 to create 3 lots for residential use, map number 396, parcel number 23 in the second district. Have a motion for second reading?
Make a motion to approve second reading.
Motion by Mr. Burdette, second Mr. Floyd to approve the second reading. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. And it carries. Item number 11, the planning board recommends approving an application by Josh Forbes to rezone 2 acres out of 17.66 acres located at 920 Keith Road from AR1 to AR2 for residential use, map number 270, parcel number 17A in the 3rd district. Mr. Reese.
So this land is currently zoned AR1, and Mr. Forbes would like to have the option to subdivide a parcel out of the property, and that is what he's subdividing, or he's requesting to rezone 2 acres from this parcel to AR2, so that he can subdivide it to residential use.
Anyone speaking for this rezoning tonight? State your name for the record, please.
Yes, sir. I'm Josh Forbes, and just looking for the final approval.
Anyone else speaking for this rezoning? Anyone here tonight to speak against or reject this rezoning? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. See if there's any questions from the board. Hearing none, then entertain a recommendation, motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the following requests with staff and planning board recommendations.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Deloach, second by Mr. Loper. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. And carries. Second reading, consideration to approve the second reading of an application by Josh Forbes to rezone 2 acres out of 17.66 acres located at 920 Keith Road from AR1 to AR2 for residential use, map number 270, parcel number 17A in the 3rd district.
Make a motion to approve the second reading.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Deloach, second by Mr. Loper to approve the second reading. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. And carries. Item number 13, in public hearing, the planning board recommends approving an application by James Burns to rezone 2 acres located at 3120 Old Dixie Highway, AR1 to AR2, map number 339, parcel number 1 in the 3rd district.
So this is a similar case. There's a tract that's zoned AR1, and Mr. Burns would like to rezone 2 acres so that he can subdivide and sell those lots.
Anyone tonight, open public hearing, anyone tonight speaking for this? Anyone here tonight speaking against this? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Do you have a motion?
Make a motion to approve with staff and planning board recommendations.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Deloach, second by Mr. Loper. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. And carries. Second reading. Consideration to approve the second reading of an application by James Burns to rezone 2 acres located at 3120 Old Dixie Highway from AR1 to AR2, map number 339, parcel number 1 in the 3rd district. Do you have a motion to approve the second reading?
Make a motion to approve the second reading.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Deloach, second by Mr. Loper to approve second reading. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. And it carries.
Mr. Chairman, I'm gonna step down from this next one.
All right, from that, Mr. Loper has recused himself and stepping down for the next item of public hearing. Item number 15, the planning board recommends approving the application of Ruth and Ron, who is on 1.19 acres located off of 3rd Street, AR1 to B3, commercial development. This is map number 367A, parcel number 31 in the 4th district.
So this is on AR1. It's on the corner of Highway 21 and 3rd Street. So you see on the left, there's a view from Highway 21, and then this is on 3rd Street looking out towards Highway 21. This is the plat, and this would be 21 here. This is 3rd Street here. And Mr. Moran wishes to rezone this to allow for commercial development from the parcel.
Okay. We'll open a public hearing. Should someone like to speak for this tonight? Mr. Ron, would you like to speak? Did you want to speak for this rezoning tonight?
I'm Reuben Ron, and I'm getting this from my grandson. He's going to have a tire shop and a little small garage. And so we'd like to get it approved for you if possible.
Okay. Anyone here else speaking for this rezoning tonight? Anyone here to speak against or reject this possible rezoning tonight? Seeing no one, I'll close the public hearing, see if there's any questions from the board. Hearing none, entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve with staff and planning board recommendations.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Deloach, second by Mr. Kiefer. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. And carries. Second reading, consideration to approve the second reading of an application by Reuben Ron to rezone 1.19 acres located off of 3rd Street from AR1 to B3 to allow for a commercial development. This is map number 367A, parcel number 31, 4th district. Have a motion for the second reading.
Make a motion to approve the second reading.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Deloach, second by Mr. Kiefer to approve the second reading. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. And it carries. It's approved. All right, I'm sure that Mr. Loper has returned to the board, and we'll
Good
go
luck.
over to our staff reports. We'll begin with
I have one item very quickly, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Fiona asked me to bring to your attention the fact that you previously, in fact, several years ago, on December the 1st, 2015, you approved surplusing a parcel of land located at 1851 Hodgeville Road. And you did so with the stipulation when you advertised it for sale that you have a minimum bid price of $48,000, which is the assessed value of the property. Apparently, someone approached her today, maybe, and indicated that they remain interested in purchasing the property, even though the bid is required by law. But they were requesting that you consider lowering the minimum bid amount. But it's been valued at $48,000 for since 2016 and 2015. It was valued for tax purposes, I believe, also at $48,000. So it's consistently been valued and assessed at $48,000. But it's still sitting there. County has no use for it. It has been surplus, and the request is, would you be willing to re-advertise it for a reduced value?
We try to sell it any other way other than just through surplus? Somebody put a sign on this? I'm not familiar with the property. How large a piece of property is it?
Approximately 1 acre.
Where was it located?
Hodgeville Road, what you said?
I beg your pardon.
It's on Hodgeville Road?
Yeah, it's 1851 Hodgeville Road. It's
What's the lot?
divided from Colebrook Plantation, if that means anything to you.
You might give some guidelines, but one thing I would recommend that we think about, and get leaders weigh in on this, and some guidelines. If you surplus property because you want to sell it, you probably need to look at maybe taking proposals for, I'm going to say, auctioneers or whatever, companies who do this, that put signage on it, and they get their fee on top of what the bid is, that's how they do it. That's a very aggressive way to get.
An acre in South Effingham.
That's the way you get max dollar, because that person makes their money.
Well, that's true. That's true.
Did I say 28,000?
Yes.
48,000.
Well, that's more in line with what.
Can we go on?
I'm sorry, I put it at
Ask for proposals from a realtor to list the property. They're right, it's South Effingham piece of property, which you.
I'll get some guidelines from Lee, but, the realtor, that's a route you can go. But I've seen real success where these companies are good at getting information out, and they want to get the highest bids they can, because that's how they get paid. So they'll put through all those folks, and that's what they did on that land that was we were putting the road in. When I called and,
Is that an auction?
they added to it, it's like 10%, they added to the fee.
For land, I guess, for a realtor, 8%. Is that right?
Well, when they do it this way, they advertise it clear. They have to pay 10%, they don't pay.
Right.
And you still set a minimum. You want to give us some guidelines on how we can turn this property into itself?
You are right on it. I would just suggest, since we have, I think there's several parcels that the county owns, that we just be consistent from this point forward. And probably get a good idea with evaluation, either from an appraiser or, I guess, a conversation with the tax assessor's office, just to make sure we've got good value. And then we could go a couple routes, like you stated, either with some sort of auctioneer type system, or go with a realtor. And their commissions, to me, they're always negotiable. And if we're going to maybe get several tracks, then they take less commission. So I would just think that, since we're talking about it now, it's just we kind of look in the future too with all the other parcels we have.
I wonder if it'd be good in that advice to think about making a list of maybe 5, 10 where properties you have, and then putting out RP for the hunt.
Y'all actually have an entire book that was given and emailed of the properties that the county has.
Right, but just to list a few of those that we want to actually sell, maybe, you don't want to sell them all, but
To answer Commissioner Kiefer's question, that property is zone B2. It's a commercial property. It's B2.
I think if you take that property, maybe 5 or 6 others, and you go to these, I like the auction because it gets it done. It's competitive, they do a lot of advertising. People get excited of those things. And at the end of the day, if you auction off 5 pieces of property, you know, money's in the bank.
Things are going so quickly now that if you listed it as this piece of property.
Well, I think when you, if you put it up, just for bid, and you set a minimum, you probably don't need to set the minimum at the set value, because you're not leaving room for somebody that maybe thinks they're gonna get a value. You know what I mean? You just, maybe setting the minimum too high.
Yeah, my point was just so we know what the value is.
Oh, sure, sure.
We've got several parcels, so you probably need to look at this, maybe come up with what you're gonna start with. But obviously now is a new market to look at. And my 2 cents on an auctioneer is, I think folks tend to think those are, you're gonna get a good deal with those, and it may not yield to the highest return.
I don't remember this property. I think that's where some dumpsters there.
It was.
Yeah.
It was a dump site.
And there's another commercial.
Not per se a dump site, it was just a site.
No,
Right.
It's a trash collection.
There you go.
Property.
Yeah.
That's been years ago. That's been years ago. So.
Well, you know, and I've just had a little bit of experience with that side of it, but I found the opposite. In other words, we have bought property before it went to auction for the value that they wanted, the low bid, and then we went to auction and sold it off for 100,000 more because people got excited at the auction and just start bidding against each other. And the advantage you have there is, first, if you sign out front, or if we just take up the paper, these companies, and get several on the bill on it, they advertise it big time. They'll know about it in New York, they'll know about it in Florida. They have this market of people they get it to. It'll be flyers. They spend money because if they can get 100,000 versus 50,000, they get more money. They're going to add 10%. You can negotiate it. You can make it 8%. That's a bid.
But can you set a minimum, or are they gonna?
Yeah, you can set a bid minimum auction. So you don't have to, but you can set a minimum. But that's just, so I've seen that happen where we buy it for like 300,000 and sell it for 400,000.
But what problem with this discussion, we have somebody that's interested, but they want less than 48. And my question was, other than publishing it, if a surplus is it been advertised for something?
Yeah, exactly.
Does anybody know other than what they want it?
And it hasn't been advertised well, even if it was advertised, it's just put in the paper.
For sale, put Wesley on.
Yeah.
Let them do.
I'll work your deal, man.
But I'm just saying, there may be other people that's interested that they just don't know.
Yeah, especially.
And so I think the idea of looking at some other way to advertise these properties other than just the surplus. Yeah, that's
So for direction, you
It
want.
was in the classifieds of the newspaper, not many people know.
right. Yeah.
I'm for whether you do a realtor or an auction company. Usually auction companies are tied to realtors anyway. I think the one that we used before, I can't remember the name of the guy now, it's taken.
Mayor?
Yeah, Mayor, Mark Mayor. He does a great job of advertising. I mean, it's amazing what come out of these things, looking for development.
So it could go the way we said, the other way where people are expecting a deal because it is an auction instead of going through a realtor.
Well, you put that way for a minute.
I mean, if it was a piece of property out here in the movies or something like that, South Effingham, I'd go there. I think it lasts long no matter what you do.
So if you go the realtor
But
right,
people know that.
if you go the realtor right, we gotta get an RFP out for a realtor right. Give them a number, give them the number of lots we want you to sell. Here's 20 lots we want you to sell, take an RFP. Or if you do an auctioneer, maybe you do put them both. Is there any reason why I couldn't do that? We're looking for companies or individuals help us sell this property, like to put a, I mean, you can put this,
Whatever you want the parameters to be in that RFP.
I think with an auction, the good thing about that is it's D-Day.
It's done.
It's done.
That's what I like about it, it's done. It's competitive. But we can do an RFP for both, you know, we're looking to help turn this property, whether an auctioneer or auction company or a realtor.
Yeah, that's why I was just recommend looking at that property list, just so you can come up with a good plan, because I think you'd be surprised, there's several properties that the county has.
Do we have that list? You said?
I can email it back out, but you also have a hard copy of it. It's a binder like this.
Yeah, I remember you did this, it's a bunch of properties. So I wouldn't know, looking at it, some of the commissioners might, I wouldn't know which one was the key properties we were trying to.
Did they have a comment, just a small description of each
They
one?
have, and it's a copy of the property record card. It's gonna note the zoning, it's gonna note the assessed value, the location, everything.
Okay. We just need someone to take that and run with it, don't we?
Must be a lot. How many properties
Oh, it's a bunch.
It is.
that we want to surplus?
If I had to guess, I'd say it's over 80, maybe.
80?
Now, if you want, I can take that on and just pull the properties that I believe are of value and that you certainly have no interest in holding on to. I can do that.
I think that's a good place to start, include this one, maybe 9 others. Let's get 10 properties out there. Let's get 10.
Can we do
back in
20?
the digest. Huh?
Can we do 20?
You
Maybe
can, but-
intend and test the
Why
process.
don't you break it down to 10 and 10, do 20, but break it down to 10 and 10.
If the county's not using it, or has no plans to use it, it needs to.
It's a good market.
And Lee, once you bid that process out, since it's professional services, if we liked what that realtor did, could we do the next 10 with them? We gotta rebid that. Since it's professional type services.
I don't think you would, I think you could continue with them, I think you'd have to rebid it.
So let's do that, let's do,
I guess their bid would be the percentage, basically.
Right, I don't think you need to limit it to a certain number of properties.
We just need somebody.
Just for services.
Reputable that's going to follow.
Real
up.
estate or auctions or whatever.
Or whether they sell 1 or 100, I mean.
what if you didn't like their services and you've already awarded to them, that if you bring it to those 10, would it be easier to get out of that contract, or would it make a difference?
Yeah, we'll have it in the contract to be able to discontinue with their services.
Okay,
And we won't be locked in.
that will.
Yeah, we like them great, and if not, then.
Okay. All right, Fiona's not here, right, is she? Is Fiona here? So could you maybe identify to her that we'd like to get an RFP out for agents that might help? That can include auctioneers or whoever.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Billy, I would wait until you really decide how many you want to sell. So that may figure into the parameters you want to use in the RFP to make sure we get quality.
She can put it together, and all we got is put the numbers, we can say approximately 80 more or less parcels containing, and very quickly, she can tell the acreage of that. Okay?
Yeah, she should have something similar to what she just did for Grant.
Yep. So if we could do that, that would be great, and maybe get that consideration on the next agenda to approve that RFP. Thank you. Anything else?
No, sir.
How's your Japanese? Okay.
I can say please and thank you, which gets you a long way there.
How about our clerk? You got something for us?
I just have 2 brief remarks. Your dinner with Moreland on Friday night, that's going to be April 26th. I believe it's at 7 o'clock. I'm sorry, Saturday. No, hold on.
That's because we had this conversation the other day, I was confused.
We were thinking it was Friday.
It is
Is your lobbies?
That's correct.
April 26th.
Actually, April 27th
What's that?
at 7. I also received an email from EOM today, that I believe you all got it as well. They're trying to schedule a dinner with you that same weekend. They want to know if Thursday is better or Saturday is better.
So I told her I would kind of get a straw poll and,
Saturday, we're gonna do this one, can have 2 dinners, so that kills Saturday.
Saturday's night, we already got them.
So Thursday or Friday, maybe?
how does Thursday work? What do you
I can't do Thursday.
Why are they doing that weekend?
think? It's ACCG. You
I
have-
know, they could, are they just taking us or taking several?
I imagine them taking others.
Oh, okay, that's one.
I could do Friday, but I couldn't do Thursday.
You can do Friday and
Is there school on Thursday or just a Friday?
Monday. Is there one that's
School on Thursday or just a Friday?
Just
It's
Friday.
Just Friday.
Just Friday.
Friday and Monday?
We could do Thursday or,
Can they do Friday? They didn't say.
I will ask that question.
if I don't think of the other things.
So is Friday best for everybody?
Better.
It's better for me.
I'd rather do Friday personally too.
Right. I'll follow up. That's all.
I hate to tell somebody when we can go out, they ask us, Friday looks better. For me as well. Okay. What else, Madam Clerk?
That's it.
That's it? Do we have anything from the other staff reports?
Do I have to go up?
Yes.
I sent you an email earlier, but I just wanted to remind you that in your packets, you should have the preliminary draft of the fiscal year 20 budget for you to review. And we have dates set for next week for meetings. I know I have 3 of you on Monday morning at 9:30. So I have 2 more, I think, of you that I need you on Wednesday at 9:30 if that fits your schedule. But if not, let me know and I'll put you in next week.
Thank you for putting it in an old format.
I'm sorry?
Thank you for putting it in the old format of what each department requests and what staff is recommending.
You're
So I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Do you have me down for one of those days?
Wednesday, is that good for you?
Yeah, I'm gonna put it right now, just to make sure.
What was the other day, Monday?
Monday at 9:30.
Yeah, what time was that one? That was 9.
9:30.
I think you're feeling yourself, man. 9:30 Monday, is that right?
Yes, sir.
So that's the 17th.
No. That's not the 17th, is it? It's the 22nd, I think.
This
I don't have my
upcoming-
calendar in front of me.
Yeah,
This upcoming Monday morning, I'm pretty sure is me.
Oh, that's right, tomorrow's.
And then you-
The 3 of us, 9:30 Monday morning.
Yeah, and then you'll be Wednesday, the 24th, I think is your date, Chairman.
Anything else from the staff? Anything from the Board of Commissioners?
I have an issue. I'm gonna be out of town Sunday through Wednesday.
Okay,
Sorry.
that's
I
great.
may have to see something. I'll talk to you. I forgot when I committed to that.
That's fine.
Spring break and I will be gone.
We'll get you in there.
I have an issue I want you to put on. You know, this last bar pit we approved, one of the things that Mr. Pittman designed in this was a shaker box on the exit of the property coming out on the road. Over on Stagecoach Road, there's a sand pit or bar pit. And I get a call probably once a week. And I call Stephanie if I can't get in touch with Mike. He goes out there, they get the sweeper going and get it cleaned up. And the road stays a mess. Can we go back and require them to put in a shaker box, or what can we do to, other than just shut him down for a period of time as a penalty? I don't know what to do, penalize him. But I'm not kidding, I get calls from the residents on that road constantly because they're tracking dirt out on the county road.
So they said they were going to do a shaker box and they didn't do it.
No. This last bar pit, they designed that in at the
Oh,
exit.
this is the
And
different.
I'm wondering if we can go back and require these folks to install or build a shaker box, wherever this is. Vibrates the dirt off the trucks as they leave the property. Because they put rocks down with a little bit of rain, and those rocks mash down, and they just start tracking mud out on the roads and make a mess.
I think it would be, I didn't stay at the Holiday Inn Express last night, but I think it would be hard to impose anything specific on them since we've already approved it. But I think if they were creating some type of public safety issue, I think we can definitely, we've got room to enforce. They have to do something.
Right.
And it just so happens Shaker Box would work out really good.
Right.
Just wanted to throw that out there, but.
I'm talking to Mike, and he'll go out there, they'll get the sweeper going, or they'll bring a sweeper back from another job site or whatever. But in the meantime, these people.
I just think it may be better for us to stay focused on the safety aspect of it. And they've got to do something different.
I don't know why we couldn't come up with an entire policy if you have a sand plant or pit mine. There's certain things you do, you know.
Well, maybe like
whether
solar
it be
farms.
electric pumps or whatever.
I mean, we need to come up with a solar farm, I think box, or maybe a sand pit box, that's unintended there.
Yeah.
You know,
Something anyway, we do, I think through code enforcement, we can penalize or there's monetary damage or like a fine to the sheriff. I'm not sure.
Every business industry has regulations that change every year.
But Lee, can we not at this point issue a letter maybe from the administration that the dirt on the highway is damaging our public safety and that this is not kept clean, it could result in penalties or something? Is there?
Yeah, and it's probably the best route is to do that, and maybe get the sheriff's office on board as well. If it is causing safety issues, but I'd have to look to see what type of penalties would be involved or code enforcement would be involved. I'm sure we have something. Just off the top of my head what that would be.
We have another issue with a lighting issue on a commercial, the lighting will shine into a residential. And they were going to have to go before the judge. They were subpoenaed to court to discuss it, and we was able to resolve that issue before we got to court. So,
How much longer do they have doing that?
I don't know. I just want to throw this out for discussion and kind of find out what route we could possibly go.
Is that something our code enforcement officer could run out and look at the dirt on the road, look at public safety issues, get with our sheriff and come up with something where we get a letter maybe on? Maybe that'd be the route to start.
Michael knows exactly what I'm talking about.
Well, yeah, it does.
You know, this may be overkill, but, you know, DOT has policies about tracking stuff onto the state highways, and you might be able to craft a local ordinance that has the same sort of teeth in it, that you can make them responsible for cleaning it up and or fine. But I'm sure DOT would be happy to share their policy with you for that.
Okay, let's start there with code enforcement going out, getting some pictures, making recommendations, and getting the sheriff and see what kind of letter we need to produce, and then we can follow up with that, what you just said as well.
I've got something.
I don't have anything.
On continuation from last meeting, trying to get this, plan to the finish line. But I brought up to you what's going on with our different departments with 4-H, Board of Elections, as far as 4-H temporarily, I say temporarily, but for 2 years, brings possibly leasing space from the Board of Education at the old Rankin Elementary School, at the Rankin Learning Center. I had more discussions with Dr. Scharouse, and he sent me over some terms, and what he would like for me to do is run these by the Board of Commissioners, see if y'all are amenable to the terms. If so, he's going to draft up, a formal lease agreement, and at that time, I will forward that to Lee, our attorney, let him look over it, and then in hopes maybe next meeting we can actually vote on the lease agreement. The lease agreement, the terms are, it's pretty basic. Dr. Scharouse has given us a number for rent and utilities each month. And that would be $2,000 per month, which that covers rent, utilities, does not cover cleaning services because, as I said before, we cannot have any inmates on school property. So Liberty Cleaning Services is currently contracted with them, and he gave me a contact number today for them. I've already reached out. Myself or Abby Smith will meet the person out there so they can see what it is. I'm assuming that Liberty will probably give us the best price on that. I'm not sure at this point how often, once a week, twice a month, how often that'll be, but their supplies are already there, so I figured they're there, they'll probably give us the best price.
How many square feet?
I'm not sure exactly. It's about 8 classrooms is what it is. And Abby's happy with that. She said that's adequate space to do all the classes that she needs and to function. And I don't know how y'all feel, if y'all think 2,000 a month is okay. Do we push back?
I was going to say, is that negotiable?
Yeah.
We've done favors to the school board before. I didn't.
I was thinking that the rent is going to be more of utilities and maintenance issues that might cause, I didn't know they were going to make a little on the side. If they're not using it, I like to push, we don't have any plans to use it. If we're keeping them from getting some legitimate rent from someone else, then I'm going to reimburse them for it. I'm not sure they're going to use that for anything. Really?
They have some other uses. I know I believe their alternative school has some other uses, but they pretty much said they're going to work with us. If we want the space, we've got it. They can move what they were going to do to a different part of the facility.
Just sounded a little bit high.
How about the old Marlow? Will we do anything over there? I know that's changed, throwing a wrench and everything, I'm just saying.
Abby didn't really feel great about Marlowe, and Dr. Sherrouch really didn't either, because I think there may be some plans to do things there even sooner than what we're currently talking about. And Dr. Sherrouch said he may go further than 2 years, but at this time he would only commit to 2 years.
That's utilities included.
Yes, utilities are included, yes.
Utilities, we got, how big is the classroom, 20 by 20?
We've got to clean.
About 400
I
square
was
feet.
going to be 20 by 30, but it may be 20 by
Maybe,
30.
it depends on
Pretty
the
much a square. So 20 by 20 might be good.
It's kind of an older school, but maybe not be the bigger room.
So you said it's 8 of them?
8, yeah.
8 rooms,
So if we do
600.
20 times
Go with 4,000 square feet.
8, 3,200 square feet times. It's not bad, right?
24,000 divided by 3,200.
Well, if you divide it by, I did $5, which would be below the market, but that's not prime commercial. That'd be $1,300 a month. Yeah, and usually you pay utilities on top of that. I would suggest that's probably market value.
That's what we go back at 15 utilities included.
Sure. Whatever y'all want me to do.
Thing about it is, if they could rent it to somebody else, they don't give it to us cheaper than.
No, that's true.
Right, and I'm gonna say, if we're hurting them, for example, that's why I said, I want to give them the market if we're causing them harm, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
But if they
I don't
don't,
want to
if
lose
it's not-
space either.
if it's
I
not
can't
causing
imagine they're
harm-
out marketing it to anybody.
Huh?
I can't imagine they're out trying to.
Well, it's just like any other league, maybe y'all.
Yeah. I still don't
Check
have
them out.
space. I mean, that's it.
Well, you know, it's a space, but I would suggest
Space.
that since we have either clean, we don't pay utilities, I get it.
That's a big plus.
But they're only using a couple hours a day.
Utilities in the summertime, our whole classroom can be $600-700 a month. Just for this space.
They're not using it all day. They have the office
Obviously, got to
area.
keep it to the decent.
Yeah.
You have these stores that can hold.
I'm okay, but when you get down to it, 500 times, what's $6,000 on $56 million budget? I mean, But,
It's just a citizen's bond.
yeah,
On both sides. I mean, we're just sharing.
we
This
just,
is another switch you got.
we just moving it around is all we're doing.
Um,
So it's not like it's taking.
And when I get the number from Liberty Cleaning, I'll shoot an email out, I'll make sure, get you that info as well.
And my 2 cents is, that's the best we could do, it's the best we could just, I push back, say, can we do better? I'd be like that, 70 twice,
I always in space.
can you do better? You know, it'd be helpful to us.
But we don't want to lose it either.
Right, I'm saying, just
Not
ask
much
him.
to be satisfied, you
Say,
know.
can we do better? If he says, no, I
We have
can't.
to move them somewhere.
Just pull the trigger.
Move forward. Okay. All right, well, either way, I'll ask and I'll shoot an email out and just update everybody on where that goes. So, and that's all I got.
That's good.
Hospital board. I need 2 people to know, we talked about one. Does anybody else know any suggestions? I would like to get more of a job description.
You gotta have 3 from your district?
3, they all have to be in the district in this case.
They asked for 3 candidates.
Oh, 3 candidates, let's say,
Yeah.
if they
3
board.
candidates for one board seat. Anybody?
But if
Have
if
they
we
ever-
can't come up with it, they'll take what we
Have they
have.
ever, or when are they going to announce the District 3?
Yeah.
Well,
I killed my
still
Facebook
interviewing.
picture.
I have one on Thursday.
Okay,
It's
yes,
all
seems like it's
social
taken,
media.
yeah.
I killed my Facebook.
It's either good.
Why don't you,
Somebody's been
why
out
don't
on
you
their
call?
board and they want to start out.
See, yeah, hospital, too sweet, lady. I say, do you have anybody that you want to be on?
You get one good one, and just, some people, tell them, just put it in, they're not gonna pick one of them out of abundance, so.
Yeah. I'll tell you what else has come forward, the library board. They have 3 that have served 2 terms, so they can't serve anymore. So there's gonna be 3.
What districts are those in?
It's Becky Long, Larry Wennell, and Carla Friels, I believe it is. She actually resigned in January, I found out today.
She lives.
So you got to be looking at meetings.
Well, we don't appoint those by district, do
Mhm.
we? They just have one.
Yeah,
Oh,
look,
okay, so
no,
large, okay.
but they have a maximum amount of terms that they can serve. And 2 of them have served the max, Mr. Weddle and Becky. Carla Friels.
Which is a shame, but well, I know Becky in particular, she's so involved. She's so
Yes.
good at it.
Yeah.
And Becky texted me last night, I texted back to her, we got a board meeting tomorrow, by the way, we're going to 10. I'll try to come back to my meeting with the engineers if I can get away. EOM, meeting tomorrow. But she's asking about, she's got Jack supporting $1 million for a new library, wondering if we were interested in matching it with the SPOS money. And I just let you know, what I texted back is that right now, we are needing 17 million roughly for our parkway. We can't commit any SPOS monies to any other project, I didn't say library, any other project to resolve our current capital issues. So see, maybe I shoot. She texted back, thanks for the response. Probably good to meet more if I can get away and give some questions from her. I have one quick item, just for code enforcement. I don't know if it's the issue or not. On Courthouse Road, the sand mine we approved years ago, remember that? And a big crowd, they came out the door. I'm gonna remember this is the election, remember that?
On which road?
Courthouse Road.
Is that one down from you?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
And there's supposed to be a buffer. I don't remember what the buffer is, but I can tell you what's there. That berm goes right up to the property line, there's 1 row of trees. It doesn't sound like they complied with the buffer that the insurance they would have. I'd like the code enforcement just to let us know if they violated that. And that literally there's one,
They got a berm built all the way around it for that you can see.
then they qualify. But remember they said, you won't even be able to see this because we have a buffer, like 50 foot of shrubs and trees and so forth. I remember them saying this, people say, I want to look at the barn. And if it's legal, it's fine, and maybe what they did is legal, but there's 1 row of trees, it doesn't affect me because I don't see it, but there's our neighbors that, nobody's calling me about it. But if they have violated what they said they were going to do, they're going to leave a 50-foot buffer and then have a berm, I'd like to know. But if the berm is part of the buffer and they just didn't do what they said they were going to do, but they did what they legally had to do, we have no argument. It looks strange. You really have a row of trees and a berm goes right through the trees. I mean, you can see everything. It's
A pine tree is just kind of.
yeah, about a, I don't know, 12, 13-year-old pine tree. It's not even vision. It's not even talking with yet. It's 17. So it just didn't sound like they kept them order. And that's aggravating. Okay, Teresa. Thank you for doing that. I don't have anything. You have a new executive session, Mike?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. We have a motion to go into executive session.
Make a motion to go into executive session, discuss personnel, property, and meeting litigation.
Motion by Mr. Keeper, second by Mr. Deloitte, to go into executive session. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. And then executive session.
One second. Okay.
All right, we have a motion to go back in regular session. Motion by Mr. Lopez, second by Mr. Floyd, to go back in regular session. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Do you have a motion to approve the executive session minutes of April 2nd, 2019?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Deloach. Second. Second by Mr. Loper to approve the executive session minutes. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Any other business? Motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, motion to adjourn by, who was the first? Sorry, second. Loper to first and Burdette to second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.
We are adjourned.